It could be Monaco or Barcelona, but it's the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch. And we're all set to go again. Round 5 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. We're back with Tim Harvey and David Addison.
And race 2 about to get underway. And again, there's a little bit of learning in all of this, Tim, isn't there? Because, of course, now we will really see for the first time what this tyre option regulation is going to do with the leading 10 all on the same type of tyre. The one variable there is the hybrid.
Yeah, and we're going to see whether these new regulations are going to make a difference. Of course, the number of laps that they can use the hybrid are less from the front, and the value of the hybrid, as we keep saying, is double what it was last year. So will those at the front be able to stay there? And the other option is, will those on the soft tyre from 11th backward who've chosen it, and we'll tell you who those are in a minute, be able to come through the pack?
It's all part of the fascination of the slightly revamped British Touring Car Championship for this year, to make the racing even more competitive, even more difficult to predict. The grid based on the results of race 1, although a couple of penalties have crept in. Colin Turkington starts on pole position with Josh Cook starting 2nd, Ash Sutton 3rd, and Jake Hill will go from 4th. Dan Rowbottom starts 5th ahead of Tom Chilton. Then it's Tom Ingram and Andrew Watson who copped a penalty for an incident with Ingram and therefore finishes behind him in the results. Next up, Aidan Moffat and Aaron Taylor-Smith. They are all going to be on that harder medium tyre. But on softs, Rob Huff 11th and Sam Osborne, who goes from 12th. Mikey Doble is next on the soft tyre. Chris Smiley will start 14th ahead of Adam Morgan. And then Scott Sumpton. You've got Nick Halstead, like Adam Morgan, ahead of him on soft. Dan Camish, who round the soft now has to go to the medium to be 18th on the grid. Ronan Pearson 19th. And Daryl De Leon will be at the rear of the grid. 2 formation laps once more. And as the cars work their way around the Indy circuit, Ronan Pearson there on the penultimate slot on the grid. Ronan, there's a lot of work to do in this race and a really frustrating opening race. How much damage did it do?
Do you know what? We actually got pretty lucky. If that's the only luck we've got at the moment, then that's not too bad. But yeah, far from ideal, not the plan. But when does it ever go to plan in motorsport? You know, we're due a bit of a break because 4 races in, it feels like 3 DNFs, and you know, the pace is super, and the car and the chassis is great. Yeah, we deserve a little bit more luck than what we've got just now. It's not for the want to try.
Now, what's it like in the car on a day like this? Because it's a pretty physical car to drive, it's a physical track, and it must be very, very hot in there.
It is. It's rather hot, toasty. This is tropical weather for a Scotsman like me. I'm about to pop. I've drank so much water today, but I'm storing it up like a camel, putting it to good use.
Medium tyre, what can you do from the back of the grid? Is this a bit of a damage limitation exercise, or are you aiming for that top dozen?
Yeah, for sure. The top 12's the aim, and you never know how the first grid go can work in your favour. That's the one and only aim here, to try and salvage a strong finish to a day like this.
Have a good race.
Thank you.
Ronan Pearson then, 19th on the grid in the Hyundai, and will be a man to watch, that is for certain. And again, and we've touched on this, and I think Jade Edwards said it in the studio as well, those drivers at the back on the softs have still got to get through an awful lot of very competitive cars and drivers on the medium tyres. So it's not going to be easy for them.
No, it absolutely won't be. I think here's your hybrid allocation. So Turkin on pole only has 5 laps of hybrid, Cook 6, Sutton 7, Hill 9, Rowbottom 10, Chilton 11, and everybody else, Ingram 12, Watson, because of his penalty, 8, as he takes the number of hybrid laps based on where he finished, and everyone else 12.
Yeah, it's as you cross the line, so even if you are penalised and therefore drop down the order where you would have more hybrid, or in the old days less weight, well, to combat that quirk, you carry the penalty, as it were, as you would have crossed the line. Jake Hill then was one of the beneficiaries. 12th he started and 4th he ended up, so he pushed on to very good effect.
He did, and it'll be fascinating to see how this race works. In normal conditions, the front-wheel drive cars really attack the rear-wheel drive cars on the first lap because they don't get their tyres up to temperature. But of course, in this hot weather, they've probably got their fronts in a lot quicker than they would normally do. But doesn't mean that Sutton and Cook won't be attacking Turkington on lap 1.
And Rob Huff's got to do some of the hard work, and I use him because he's the best placed of those on softs. He's not the only one, of course, but he'll be wanting to do that early on and get through the traffic as rapidly as possible. So we've kind of got 2 races going on in one here, but not for the first time did we say that in the BTCC, given the quirk of the grid. Daryl De Leon slots into place at the back. On pole position, it's Colin Turkington, who had that win earlier on in the day. Josh Cook with him at the front, and we get set. It's round 5 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. It is 24 laps. Lights go red, lights out quickly, it is go. Good start by Hill, brilliant start by Turkington though, and the road opens up ahead of Jake Hill on the outside line as Josh Cook tried to move across and cover off Ash Sutton. So Hill's already up to third, and he might be second by the time they get to Druids, because he goes for the inside line look as they climb the hill. He squeezed onto the grass, there's contact between Hill and Cook. Josh saves it, but he scrambles into the corner. Hill gets up the inside and goes through. Jake goes second, and Josh got well and truly roughed up there.
Well, Josh did a brilliant job of holding that, because he was on his brakes with the car going sideways. Hill, I think, did get out of it a little bit, but still stuck it up the inside. But you're going to have an angry Josh Cook, I think, in that Toyota. He's already looking to slide up the inside. Sutton right behind him, and of course Rowbottom as well in the other Napa racing car.
All of them on the same type of tyre, that medium tyre. And while they've been squabbling on the opening lap, so Colin Turkington has got away, because as he breaks the beam, look at the gap he's got after just one lap. Hill second, Cook third, Sutton fourth, Rowbottom is fifth, Ingram's up to sixth as they dive down through paddock. And at the end of lap one, it was 1.3 seconds between the top two as again Hill tries to cover off Cook. And here is Sutton up on the inside line as well. The BMW, the Toyota, the Ford as one. Hill stays ahead, Cook stays just about ahead of Sutton for third as they drop to Graham Hill Bend, but Ash is on the outside line.
Well, that's brave of Ash to go around the outside. I think he wouldn't have done it if it wasn't a good friend of his, Josh Cook, but he's done it. A great pass from Sutton around the outside. Hill is definitely the roadblock at the moment, which has allowed Turkington to get away.
And Sutton, with that round the outside move, is up to third then. Cook fourth, Rowbottom fifth, Ingram sixth as they come across the line. And Huff was eighth at the end of the opening lap and looking to make further progress then. And because we've got a battle pack ahead of him, it's kind of easier, isn't it, to pick his way onto the tail. He has got a Hyundai ahead of him, that of Tom Chilton, and then he's got his teammate Andrew Watson. They're second, third, fourth. And fifth and sixth are together as well. Ingram on the outside of Rowbottom as they round Druids. But Huff is on the tail of that queue of cars, although Chilton was ahead of him over the line. So quirkily, Huff had dropped a place.
Yeah, but the pack is so tightly bunched at behind Turkington, at least from Hill onwards backwards. They've still got a great opportunity to make progress.
So there the pack streams through. Dan Camish, another man to watch as he tries to make progress after his puncture in race one. 14th he was at the end of the opening lap. You're looking at Chris Smiley there in the Restart Racing car, and Rowbottom has lost out to Ingram, who's gone round the outside at Clark Curve. Hyundai ahead of Ford. Colin Turkington leads now by 1.7 seconds, but Jake Hill fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, Jake Hill has weathered that sort of first and second lap storm, hasn't he? Which is the typical sort of view I was expecting, where the front-wheel drive cars really attack the rear-wheel drive cars. Didn't seem to have a problem for Turkington. He scarpered off, but Turkington has Hill has weathered that storm and now got a little bit of a gap back to Sutton and Cook. Along
Cooper Straight they go then. So there is Jake Hill, and he runs in second. Now we'll see what he can do about Turkington. 1.7 seconds the margin. The Powermax Vauxhalls, the Evans Halshaw with Powermax Racing Astras at play. When they came through at the start of the lap, it was Aaron Taylor-Smith ahead of Mikey Doe, but it still is, more or less, with Sam Osborne and Dan Camish in that mix as well. But the two Astras, very rapid cars they can be, and Aaron Taylor-Smith, as he said after race one, with a game plan for race three. Change amongst the works Toyotas then as they went over the line. Huff up into eighth now, ahead of Andrew Watson going through on the inside. So Huff now is starting to pick his way through that top 10 on the grid. Yeah, there's bound to be some bunching up and racing ahead of him, which will help him get on the tail of the cars in front. So, World Touring Car Champion comes then down through Graham Hill Bend along Cooper Straight, and Rob, who's got GT racer Gilles Magnus here watching him. Gilles is managed by Rob's company, so this is a day to prove to you other people on your roster that you can still deliver, but he's in danger of losing out because Watson and then Aidan Moffat are right behind him, and Moffat with his elbows out comes up alongside Andrew Watson. Aidan Moffat comes through and he's on the medium tyre, but he's on a big mission, isn't he? And he gets ahead of Watson, who's also on the medium, as now Hill versus Sutton. Just as we said that Jake had weathered the storm, Ash goes around the outside at paddock. He's got the fastest lap of the race. Hill's late on the brakes up at Druids. They scramble into the corner. Sutton gets run out wide. Jake Hill is still ahead as they come down the hill, but Sutton and Cook are right back with him. Well, I think Hill must have made a mistake off camera, because he had a gap to Sutton and then all of a sudden it was gone. And I thought when Hill locked up on the inside going into Druids, he might take him and Sutton off. Together they run, nose to tail, Hill, Sutton. And then behind is Cook, and And then Ingram and Rowbottom just dropping away ever so slightly as up towards the line they come once again then. So, the BMW ahead of the Ford. Sutton thinks about the outside and have a look behind. Ingram to the outside of Josh Kirk as well as they come up towards Paddock Hill Bend. The Toyota fends off the Hyundai. Sutton's got the inside against the BMW this time for second place as they head up the hill. And surely this time Matt Sutton's going to go through. Jake Hill sort of turns in and finds the Ford alongside him, so contact between the two. Sutton goes second and Hill and Cook overlap down the hill for third, but the BMW is ahead when it counts for the apex.
Yeah, well, I think looking at the hybrid usage, that was a hybrid pass by Sutton on the last lap, which is why he closed the gap. And this is what you're seeing now, hybrid racing. A lot of grass in the front of Cook's car. I hope he doesn't overheat. It's not going to take much at this levels of temperature. And now side by side, Hill and Cook round the corner. Ingram right behind.
Yeah, Ingram on the inside line, so Cook's temperatures may well start to go up. The pace will diminish. So across the line, Turkington, Hill, the top two, 3.8 seconds between them. Over the line, Josh Cook goes through as Ash Sutton is just ahead of him in second spot, and Jake Hill being elbowed down through the order. Fifth indeed as he comes out of paddock. Got Rowbottom on the inside line as well, and Rob Huff as well in the mix. Huff goes up the inside of both of them. He's cleared the BMW. He's alongside the Napa Ford look as they drop downhill. Rowbottom on the inside, Rob Huff on the outside. Ford just ahead. All of this now putting Huff on the fringes of the top six.
Well, this is basically hybrid racing, guys. I hope you like it. It's certainly exciting, isn't it?
So this is what it's been designed to do this year, to make that hybrid have more impact. And it's also, don't forget the tyre, because on the quicker, softer tyre, Rob Huff's Toyota dancing its way through clearways into Clark Kirby's on the inside line. Let's see what the gap is when he comes through. He's got to get past Rowbottom first of all, but he'll do that on the inside, and Jake Hill tries to follow. So Huff is just 7 seconds off the race lead. Now, granted, he's got to get past a few more cars, but he's got 16 laps to get through the traffic and find 7 seconds. And another one on a mission is Adam Morgan up to 9th.
Yeah, he's done a great job there, just picking his way through. Obviously, Morgan started right near the back. He was actually in 15th place, but he has got the soft tyre.
And more drama for Jake Hill up at Druids. We saw him getting run out wide there, so Hill has fallen down the order. Here's the replay. Look in the background. So up the hill on the inside line goes Jake Hill, and there was contact from behind. That may well have been Rowbottom. There's not much love lost between those two, and it means that Jake Hill drops further down the order as now Mikey Doble comes up on the inside of his teammate of last year, Andrew Watson. Meanwhile, Colin Turkington, serene out front, is 4 seconds clear of Sutton. Third is Cook, fourth is Ingram, Chilton is fifth, sixth now is Huff, seventh Rowbottom, Morgan is eighth, ninth is Moffat, and Hill is down to 10th as you look at the rather battle-scarred Toyota of Andrew Watson up the road ahead.
On board with Sam Osborne, more lock-ups in front. Yeah, that was definitely a little tap on the rear on the brakes from Rowbottom on Hill, wasn't it? On board with Sam Osborne coming down to Graham Hill, damage on the back of Watson's car. I don't think I've ever seen so many cars. Literally, you could throw a blanket over them and changing positions every lap.
It is very close indeed as Hill and Camish now run up towards clearways. So this is for 10th and 11th places. Aidan Moffat just up the road ahead, but it is Turkington the race leader. Getting a replay here on board from Sam Osborne. That's Andrew Watson ahead, who we know has picked up some damage, and this is how, because Sam went for a gap that wasn't really Ford-sized.
No, he was on the grass there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Hill doing a huge defensive job on Camish now, isn't he? This race hasn't really gone to plan for Jake Hill at all.
The weekend hasn't really given qualifying, and he's been on the back foot ever since. So, as you made the point before, qualifying so important. Camish getting a bit of contact from Mikey Doble, though, as they go around Druids, downhill once again. Turkington, meantime, leading by 4.2 seconds, although fastest lap of the race, Ash Sutton.
It was on lap 5, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So a little while ago. That probably won't get repeated. Lunge up the inside from Osborne. A tap at Watson, forces him wide. Is he going to go through? He's going to take Pearson with him as well, because Pearson is right up behind Osborne.
Yeah, you're right, Ronan Pearson goes through. So the Ford passes the Toyota, the Hyundai goes through as well. Use of the hybrid, no doubt, so that puts them up into 13th and 14th places. Pearson in the points, which will please him, given what he was saying pre-race, except Watson fights back on the outside line. They're going to be side by side up the hill, coming down the hill in the meantime. Turkington has turned out of Graham Hill Bend, still 4 seconds clear of Sutton, with Cook in third place, but the queue behind him is building, because look, as the rather grassy-fronted Toyota is fending off Ingram's Hyundai. Tom Ingram, I reckon, for the podium is on here.
Well, Ingram has by far and away the most amount of hybrid left. He's only used 2 of his 12 laps. He's got 10 laps of hybrid left. The others in front of him have only got 5. So he's got double the amount of laps to use it on. So he will make use of it. He's such a canny driver. Oh, a lunge down the inside. Oh. A bit of a touch, bit of a lock-up. And Ingram is through.
I'm coming through. Make your own arrangements, he says. So Tom Ingram goes by. Josh Cook on the outside line. And right there behind them is Tom Chilton. We've got 12 laps to go. Less than that now. Rob Huff is behind this queue in 6th place, but he's not yet caught up. And the margin still nearly 8 seconds, indeed, away from the front. So it's not, by any stretch of the imagination, done and dusted. But equally, it's not easy for Huff to make more progress now.
No, it's not. He's got a lot of fast cars in front of him. He's probably taken a little bit of the best out of those soft tyres, and he's certainly used quite a lot of hybrid to get there, because he had 12 laps and he's only got 5 laps left.
All right, Adam Morgan comes up to have a go at his former Sicily teammate Dan Roboson as they come across the line, and that would be now for 7th and 8th places. Morgan, remember, is the second of those on softs. Meantime, Cook versus Chilton. Cook has had to let Ingram go, and now Chilton, having a really good run here, wants to have a go at him as well. Up towards Druids, they come into the hairpin, and up the inside goes Rob Huff, elbows out. He's raced against Tom Chilton in this and, of course, in the World Championship, so they know each other of old, and Tom Chilton is just ahead as they get to Graham Hill Bend.
Yeah, Huffy can try and cut back, but not going to work along the bottom straight this time. He certainly thought better of going around the outside of Tom Chilton, didn't he, at Graham Hill?
Meantime, Sam Osborne looking racy as he's on the back of Mikey Doble, 12th and 13th, these two. This is Sam Osborne's view. Doble ahead, goes right through clearways into Clark now. As the leader goes across the line, Colin Turkington 4.1 seconds ahead of Ash Sutton. Gap down fractionally. Ingram is still 3rd, and over the line there with damaged Rob Huff and Adam Morgan up the inside. Now remember, they are the 2 leading softies, so to speak, and Adam Morgan is about to go ahead of Rob Huff to take the lead of that unofficial class. Huff's damaged possibly now, slowing him.
I'd like to see that to their face. Rob Huff, you're a softie.
That's Jake Hill in the gravel. Jake Hill has gone straight on at Druids into the gravel trap, and that puts the tin hat on a difficult second race and puts him at the back for race 3.
Well, we've seen several lockups from Jake into Druids, haven't we? But whether there was an assist or not, but the safety car is out. That's going to wipe away the 4-second lead that Turkington had over Sutton.
And that move of Morgan's has come at the right time, hasn't it, to put him ahead of Huff. So Jake Hill, a very instant call for that safety car, but he's gone straight on up the hill. We had 9 laps to go. We'll have a maximum of 3 added on with the safety car being deployed. What we first need to see is how Jake got there and whether it was an assist or a failure of some sort. Let's have a look. You're on board with him now. This is looking through the windscreen, so you can't really see the driver at work. Just off the turn.
It didn't turn at all, but whether he had it, the brakes all locked up, the front's locked up completely. If we could see it outside, we might.
Let's have a look. Jake's okay and out of the car, but big disappointment. He wanted good points this weekend, but a few coming his way.
Well, he's feeling the steering. Wow, the steering's broken. Look at that.
That's why he didn't turn.
Completely broken. He's telling the team, he's on the radio saying the steering's broken. Well, thank goodness it happened at Druids and not at Paddock Hill Bend or somewhere else, because, wow, that's a very that's like brakes failure for a driver. And certainly there'll be a big investigation at West Surrey Racing as to what's happened there.
A rare
but
failure,
no local luck for the local boy here at Brands Hatch for Jake Hill. But yes, an alarming steering column failure somewhere. That was in the column because it was just spinning completely.
Right, so Jake Hill out of the race. Now, this is earlier on, the lap before. Let's see whether he hits a curb or somebody hits him.
Nothing untoward at the moment as you view this. Pulling the gears, going down towards Paddock across the start-finish line. You'll move to the left-hand side, then straighten the car up on the brakes. Just listening if I could hear anything. He's over the curb there. He's over the curb there. But everything is... No, he changes down and just can't turn into the corner. Thank goodness the gravel and the brakes did their job and he didn't hit the wall any harder. But a frightening moment.
So Jake Hill is okay, and Andrew Watson's had a pit stop with damage, so that's going to drop him way down the order. We've also had Chris Smiley in strife by the look of it. He's fallen back into 19th place. So quite a lot's been going on. We are underneath safety car conditions. Clock carries on ticking, the laps count down, of course, but we'll then have these maximum of 3 on at the very end.
Yeah, Watson hasn't gone a lap down, though, so at least he can catch up the back of the crocodile.
So it is Colin Turkington leading Ash Sutton, and the safety car turns its way through Paddock Hill Bend. Let's have another replay of Jake Hill from the start of the race.
This is on the start. Hill got a great start. The gap opened up really nicely on the outside of Josh Cook for him. No contact into turn 1. He did then try and go up the inside. There was contact there. Now, whether that broke a steering arm or something, but you wouldn't expect the steering column to not be attached. The steering column was not attached to anything.
And Jake was a retirement on lap 15.
Yeah.
It took a long time to manifest, didn't it? So it's all very odd. But anyway, the good news is he's okay. The car, I think, is out of the gravel, and we're not that far off getting the race back underway, because you can see they've all bunched up. The safety car is peeling in this time. And so round 5 of the championship is about to be back underway, with Colin Turkington's huge lead having disappeared. He's got to do it all over again now over Ash Sutton, who is right there behind him in 2nd place. Here they come up towards the line then, and the green flag will fly. We are racing again as Turkington and Sutton go over the line. What was 4 seconds is now 6/10, and Turkington really needs Sutton and Ingram to get together and let him pull away.
Well, don't forget, Ingram has more hybrid use left, doesn't he, than Sutton?
Mechanical warning flag, Rob Huff. They want him in the pit lane to tape up the damage. So Rob Huff with the bodywork flapping on the left and the right. They want him in the pit lane, and that's going to go down like a broken lift, isn't it, at Speedworks?
Yeah, that's not what he wants. I mean, it is loose bodywork, but it is only bodywork, but that's the rules, and he's showing the scars of coming through the pack, isn't he? But yes, he's going to be hauled into the pit lane, and there's not going to be much the team can do about that except rip it off, but he's going to be consigned to the back. He's going down now to row bottom anyway. He's probably having a chat on the radio.
Well, there wasn't a lot of love lost between the team and the scrutineers at Donington for different reasons, and it's going to be the same conversation in a way, possibly. Right, meantime, Huff, Camish, Doble, Moffat, they're all busy squabbling as they come up the hill. So Morgan is up to 5th. Adam Morgan is the man to watch in a sense now, because with the pack all closed up after that safety car, he's the best of those on the soft tyre, and he's making his way up from 15th place. And now Josh Cook is getting the mechanical warning flag as well.
Well, they've obviously decided it's a bodywork race and not a track limits race, this one. That's what they're going up. Look, there's a little bit. I mean, I thought Huff was trying to back into the cars behind him, hoping they'd actually knock that bit of bodywork off. But that's a very small bit of bodywork. But the truth is, if that came off and came through the windscreen, it would be very dangerous.
Yeah, and saying, well, I've seen worse doesn't really cut it in this case, because the scrutineers have made their decision. So, the man to watch behind Colin Turkington's BMW with 5th place is Adam Morgan now, because he is closing. He's going to gain a place anyway when Josh Cook is forced into the pit lane to have that bodywork affected. And for 2nd place here, you've got Sutton and Ingram. So Morgan, I'm not saying he's going to win the race. He might not even get to the podium, but he is the best of those on softs, and he's pushing.
Well, the trick for Cook is to slow down and open the door into clearways and hope that Morgan rubs the rear bumper and knocks that piece off. That would actually do the trick.
Except Cook clips the curb there. It doesn't work, but here they come up towards the line. Morgan on the outside, and they've both got to be mindful that Chilton and Rowbottom are not that far adrift either. Over the line, Morgan is just about ahead as they break the beam. Yet got the job done going into the corner.
Yeah, unfortunately, Morgan was on the wrong side to sort of knock that bodywork off, wasn't he? Sutton and Ingram right together. Is this a lap that Ingram's using his extra hybrid? They're actually level. He is using the hybrid, but they're level on hybrid now. They'll have the same number of laps after this one. So this is Ingram's opportunity if he can do it on this lap. Look at him closing. Look at him closing. He'll have the run out of clearways and onto the start-finish line to complete this lap with his hybrid.
Nose to tail they run then, and it's letting Turkington get away all the time. This will put 22 of 27 laps in the book. Rob Huff, by the way, is not only in the pits, but it's a very long stop, so I think that's his race done. As over the timing line goes Sutton and Ingram, and is Tom going to make a dive to the inside into Paddock? The answer this time is no, but look at the way Turkington is stretching that gap again.
Yeah, Turkington's had no problem bossing this race, has he? He just absolutely... He did, I didn't get a chance to say, but he did a great restart after the safety car pulled in. He pulled several lengths on Sutton, and you don't often see Sutton caught napping, do you?
We've had a whole raft of measures brought in this year, as you see Andrew Watson running wide at paddock to try to prevent a race 1 and a race 2 winner, except we're going to have a repeat of Donington. Same man wins race 1 and race 2, so fascinating to see how the teams and the drivers are quickly able to get a handle on the tweaks to the regulations, and indeed what those regulations are going to do. Cook has made his pit stop for the damage as well, so he tumbles down the order. It's going to be a very grumpy Josh Cook. It's going to be a very quiet Speedworks, I would have thought, after this race. This is Ingram's send on the inside. Through he clatters, but he makes the corner.
He doesn't run wide. That was a good pass. Sutton tried to go. Oh, Sutton's going to launch an attack. But it looked like Ingram went very late and Sutton tried to close the door. The move's not over yet. They're still side by side.
Down the hill, Ingram will be ahead as they get to the corner. So we've had some fabulous racing. There's quite a bit of damage, and they're still at it. Look, as Ash gets lent on a little bit, and he's put on the curb, flashing the headlights as though that's going to dislodge Ingram. Left and right, Surtees, McLaren, that up to Clearways. So BMW leads, Hyundai leads Ford, and we are about to complete lap 24 out of the 27 as Turkington once again motors off into the distance.
I tell you what, though, these two, Ingram and Sutton, they sort of have been the class of the BTCC field, haven't they, for the last 3 years? And do you know what? Their tactics have been exactly the same. They've been saving the soft tyre for race 3. They've both done exactly the same.
And they're both exciting races to watch, as Mikey Doble now has a go on the Hyundai, and that is Ronan Pearson's car. So Ronan has done a good job, hasn't he? From the back of the grid to 9th, he's about to drop a spot to 10th, but even so, he's sort of got past half the field.
He's done really well, but of course Doble is on the soft tyre as well, isn't he? So that's still an advantage, even this late in the race.
So Cook tumbles down the order after an enforced pit stop. Rob Huff out of the race. Didn't think the damage was that great. Maybe it had done more to the suspension as well, but he's not rejoined. So up towards the line comes this second place fight. Ingram just ahead of Sutton. Colin Turkington is in the race. He's just miles up the road again.
He hasn't seen another car all day apart from off the grid, has he?
Yeah, on the safety car, that's about it. Out of paddock. Now Sutton to the inside line, but if Ingram's got the hybrid power left, he's able to use that going up the hill, and he stays ahead.
They're both equal on hybrid laps, so they'll be using it this lap and the next.
Sutton has a look to the inside, but Ingram doesn't often make mistakes. He's not going to leave the door even ajar, is he? He rides the curb on the inside. Now Sutton's going to have a go on the outside. The tail of the Hyundai wags. Ingram is on the hybrid. You see the blue light flash in the window. Sutton is on his hybrid, but it doesn't really counter what Ingram was doing, so they are still tied together.
One more lap to go. This is going to be great between these two champions.
Sutton gets into the back of Ingram, helps him along, but look who is behind them. There is going to be a lap to run, and Morgan could just gain another place, couldn't he, if they all tangle ahead of him. Morgan absolutely flying. Sutton still with the fastest lap of the race to his name, but he's only 3 tenths up on Adam Morgan. So another lap and Adam for the podium, I think, would have happened. He might just run out of corners.
Yeah, it'd be nice if this race could go a bit longer and see this battle, wouldn't it? But Sutton's seen the approaching Morgan. He won't want to risk it losing another place to Morgan.
So it is Turkington for the lead, and second, third and fourth is still up for grabs with a couple of corners to go. Turkington is coming up towards Clark Curve. We're looking at second, third, fourth as they come to Clearways. Sutton gives Ingram a little tap and dislodges the Hyundai, but Ingram doesn't run out wide and Morgan can't really get up with them. To the checkered flag and a second win of the day. Colin Turkington wins at Brands Hatch. Second across the line is going to be Ingram, and it's in a virtual dead heat for third. Sutton takes third by 25 thousandths of a second from Adam Morgan. Dan Rowbottom fifth ahead of Tom Chilton. Dan Camish, great drive. Aidan Moffat, Mikey Doble ninth. Aaron Taylor-Smith and Ronan Pearson down to 11th in the end. 12th Sam Osborne, then Nick Halstead, Daryl De Leon, and if you like, the walking wounded behind them, Andrew Watson 15th. And very happy Team Bristol Street Motors celebrating second place for Tom Ingram. And that is the driver of the day thus far. 2 wins for Colin Turkington.
Yeah, BMW loving these hot weather conditions, aren't they? Because certainly taking nothing away from Colin Turkington, driver of the race was Adam Morgan, wasn't he? From 15th on the grid up to 4th, and given another couple of laps, it could have been second. So the BMW really loving the soft tyres, and race 3 is going to be an absolute cracker.
Cheers, yes. 3.5, I I think, Adam Morgan. He was so close to taking that place off Ash Sutton. And this very big crowd at Brands Hatch have been treated to some great touring car racing. And anybody that was grumbling about last year or the fact that we had a dominant champion or a smaller grid this year, forget it. The BTCC is most definitely alive and well. Colin Turkington wins round 5 from Tom Ingram and Ash Sutton. Adam Morgan 4th ahead of Dan Rowbottom, and Tom Chilton 6th from Dan Camish, Aidan Moffat, Mikey Doble, and 10th again Aaron Taylor-Smith. Mikey Doble the winning independent, but 11th Ronan Pearson, 12th Sam Osborne, and 13th Nick Halstead. Daryl de Leon 14th from Andrew Watson, and then Josh Cook, 2 rather frustrated drivers to say the least. Chris Smiley next, and then the retirements, Rob Huff, Jake Hill, and we lost Scott Sumpton very early on.
Yeah, disappointment for Cook and Huff, who got pulled out for bodywork problems.
Now, as far as the championship is concerned, Colin Turkington a point ahead of Tom Ingram now, with Ash Sutton a further 4 behind. Then it's Jake Hill. Aidan Moffat's now 5th ahead of Josh Cook. Dan Rowbottom 7th with Adam Morgan, Dan Camish, and Tom Chilton rounding out the top 10.